The following production is part of the Play Some Video Games podcast network.
I say it's time we focus on what really matters. The games. Who's with me?
Good morning and welcome to another episode of the PlayStation Experience Podcast, the Scottie Pippen to PSVG Prime's Michael Jordan and Play Some Video Games premier PlayStation Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Seth, and am joined, as always, by the mighty Morphin Michigan man, Justin. How's it going, Justin?
It's going really great. I really like the Mighty Morphin Michigan man. It's pretty good.
You're just trying out a podcast nickname. I feel like other podcasts have nicknames for their people.
Co-hosts and stuff. Yeah. I like it. I also really appreciate the Scottie Pippen reference. Yeah. I always get him confused with the crazy guy that used to dye his hair. Yeah, I don't know why. I always get them confused. Even though, was Dennis Rodman ever good at basketball?
He was a great defense and great at defense and great at rebounding.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Wasn't that Scottie Pippen's thing too?
Defense, and Scottie could score.
Okay.
Right. But he was
I just don't know anything about basketball. Basically.
Lockdown defender. Basically, Michael Jordan didn't win anything until he had Scottie Pippen by his side.
Gotcha. Similar thing here. We're going to help boost PSVG.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the only reason why we are the reason why PSVG is having success at this time. Until we get canceled because of this. But, you know.
Very cool. I like it.
That works. All right. Well, we will go ahead and dive in with what we have been playing. Starting off with you, I feel like between the two of us for a little while here, we're going to be a bit of a broken record on some of the things that we've been playing, but we're having fun. So
yeah, I would agree with that.
So you've been. I did see that earlier last week, Call of Duty dropped a new mode. Have you been trying that out?
Yeah. They just basically did a big content update called Grand Heist, and it looked very cool. It's very Casino Royale inspired, and but at the end of the day, it's really just a couple new maps, new operator because they have operators now, and she's pretty interesting. She comes with a bow that you can use in multiplayer, and then they also updated the map for Blackout, which is probably the biggest deal of all the things, because people have been wanting to update for that. They added a new whole area to the map called Old Town, something like that. But it was they put it in an empty spot on the map, and it was always kind of weird that you had this huge section of the map that was just empty. And I've dropped there a few times now. I've been playing Blackout, and it's very cool. It's kind of like an Old West themed town, basically, just off in the desert. So. And yeah, I've been really enjoying that. They also added a new mode called Hot Pursuit, which the trailer made it look very cool and interesting. Really, all it is they added a bunch of cop vehicles and Camaro-looking vehicles that drive very fast. They added a bunch of those to the map, and now it's just easier to get around very fast.
Okay.
And whenever you get in one of the police vehicles, you have a very loud siren on it. So, just some weird gameplay things. Other than that, it's basically the down but not out mode, where you can respawn from the helicopter even if you are down, but your teammates are still in. So
okay.
So it's not that different, but also I guess it's different enough to warrant jumping back in. Okay. So that's what I did, and I did have fun. Played with a few randos, and as they like to call them, and some of those went well, some of those went really awful. There's still a really, really bad people playing video games. Or I had some really crazy individuals as well that were actually a little bit concerning. So, kind of people you'd see on a street corner by themselves, talking to themselves.
In Michigan.
in Michigan or like New York or something maybe. So yeah, but enjoyed it. Enjoyed the multiplayer maps a lot. I think they did really awesome multiplayer maps. So been playing that. And then other than that, it's still playing Apex Legends. I still really like it. It's a totally different feel than Call of Duty, like Blackout. So I can kind of go back and forth and just kind of get a different experience out of both. I think I don't know. I think I prefer the Apex Legends. It's just so much faster.
Yeah.
The movement is faster. The abilities are way cooler. I kind of like the look of it a little more. It's not cel shaded, but it's almost cartoony in a way.
Yeah, it's brighter.
It's brighter. Yep.
I feel like it is more incentivized for you to be more aggressive.
Yes, I would agree with that. Yep.
And I think that's really a battle royale game. I think the more aggressive players, that as long as you're good at being aggressive, you do better in the long run anyway. But Apex Legends, I feel, because you're in that trio and you can be revived, and as long as you're working together, I feel like you're more likely to be more aggressive and get into more firefights and things like that.
So. The revive, I think, is the biggest thing. Because when I started playing Call of Duty, if you're not directly next to your teammates, I mean, like, you can get downed and then potentially revived, but that almost happens never, because you bleed out very fast and you don't have a shield like you do in Apex Legends. You have a knockdown shield, which does help. And I can't be revived even if I don't get revived, while I'm down. That's it. You're done. So Apex Legends continues to be really impressive, even going back and forth between the two. There's still a place for Blackout. I think it's definitely probably stealing more of the PUBG crowd, because it is that slower grind through the Blackout mode. So I've been playing that. Been playing Apex Legends, and still playing Final Fantasy 9 on my Vita. So continues to be a good system.
Good. I finally have finished the entire story for Red Dead 2. Finished both of the epilogues, and really, you haven't picked that up since.
No, you are officially way past me at this point. It's just something I can't bring myself to get back into at this time. I have a feeling I did it with GTA 4 and 5, where I kind of forget about it for a while, and all of a sudden it's like I need to play, a Rockstar game again. And that's when I'll jump back in and finish it. Plus, I've already read the spoilers, so
so you know what goes on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I enjoyed it. So in I guess spoilers for Red Dead, which we had a spoiler cast a couple weeks ago. So maybe jump ahead 2 minutes if you're still waiting to finish it or whatever. But John, in the epilogue, you play as John Marston, and it's set about 8 years after the Red Dead 2 game and about 4 years before Red Dead 1. One of the things that I enjoyed about it was that I feel like this is the end. I don't imagine them doing another Red Dead Redemption with the same cast of characters. And you get to live out John Marston's best life. These next 4 years, 3-4 years, are going to be the happiest time of John Marston, Abigail, and Jack's life. And you get to the epilogue is the story of them getting to that life. They get the ranch, they build it up. He gets his final revenge against Micah, and they're happy. They can be happy for a little while. Of course, there's also through the credit scenes, you see Edgar Ross eventually figuring out where John Marston lives. So you get that little shot of what's coming. That eventually Ross is going to capture Abigail and Jack and force John to track down his old gang members. But I was satisfied with the end. John Marston is still one of my favorite video game characters. Arthur Morgan is up there too. And I wrote if you are a patron, you can go to patreon.com/PSVG. Actually, you might be able to do this even if you're not a patron. I forget how the rules are set up, but I have kind of my final thoughts on Red Dead 2 and why I liked it so much. It is absolutely one of my favorite games of this generation, one of my favorite of all time. Part of that's because I'm naturally going to like Western games. As long as it's a decent Western game, I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And Red Dead 2 is probably the best video game example of a Western ever. Until we're all in VR and I can run around old
And basically play Unforgiven, the
Yeah.
video game. Yeah.
Exactly. So, speaking of side tangent, you mentioned Old Town, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of I spent a summer in Lansing 12 years ago.
I'm sorry.
I enjoyed it.
Oh,
As
all right, I guess.
a intern for the Lansing State Journal. I actually lived in East Lansing, just off campus. But there's a part of Lansing called Old Town, which is a really cool part of town, if anybody is in that neighborhood. And now I'm blanking on, there's a really great breakfast restaurant in Old Town. It's in like a shack, but it's really good. So if anyone's ever there, Google search great breakfast restaurants in Lansing and go there. I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, I too have been playing Apex Legends, still playing it. This past week, I really haven't played it as much because I was really trying to beat Red Dead 2 before Anthem came out. So really, I only played Apex Legends once in the last week. I was able to play with two friends, and we played for a good hour and a half. And got it is, as much as I like playing it, and it's fun playing it with random people. The playing it with two people that and you could actually go around and talk with each other and come up with strategies and things like that was a lot better. Was even more fun, I guess. I'm still I think I'm kind of settling into Lifeline as my main. The two guys I was playing with, one of them really likes Bangalore, and the other one was messing around between Wraith and Bloodhound.
Okay. Yeah.
So we kind of that was kind of our group dynamic. I still haven't unlocked the Mirage or Caustic.
Yep.
But I'm looking forward to. I just between Red Dead 2 and then Anthem coming, and then this past weekend celebrated my wife's birthday, so I just haven't had a lot of gaming time, which is good, which is fine. Hoping this week, maybe even by the time this episode drops, hopefully we'll know more about the Apex Legends season mode and the not the season mode, but the season and the battle pass. There's been some rumors, the idea that the battle pass and the season might begin on March 1st, this coming Friday, or it could start on Monday, March 4th. I'm not sure. Each season is set up to be about 3 months. So it'll be March, April, May. I don't know if they'll begin it, right at March 1st and begin each season on the 1st of every month that the new season starts. So hopefully we'll know more about that, maybe even by now. Because I'm looking forward to. I'm definitely planning right now that Anthem and Apex Legends are going to be my games, kind of going back and forth, depending on what I'm feeling like and who I'm playing with and whatever. So and then the other game that I have played a little bit is Anthem.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, never heard of it.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear your impressions, because from what I've seen online is that the normal everyday person seems to enjoy this game. At least it seems that it was definitely worth the money.
Mm-hmm.
That there's maybe some kinks that need to be worked out, kind of like Destiny when it first released. But the news outlets and like the major reviewers have been giving this a pretty bad score so far, from what I've seen. Largely due to, I think, one big section or one prop issue of a progression issue at a certain point in the game.
Yeah,
that's what I've seen in multiple reviews now. So kind of curious what you. Plus, there's also some controversy about the day one patch didn't go live until, well, you got the game, this last Friday.
Yeah.
But it's been available for at least a week before that. So,
right.
And it sounds like the day one patch actually fixed quite a few things. So, I don't really know that seems kind of shady, I guess. They probably should have just patched it the week before when most people had it, or I wouldn't say most people, but a lot of people.
Right. Yeah, that's maybe the blessing and the curse of EA Access. That the PlayStation doesn't have yet, at least. Hopefully, sometime in the future.
Yeah.
But that week, the week that they release the EA games early, it seems like a lot of times it's an early access game. Still, it's still is that pre-patched version of the game. It's not the complete version, which I mean that's just kind of gaming today. So that seems like a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, it
And
does.
players just, I guess, need to understand that it is an early release, even though it's only a week ahead of time. It's an early release version, and there are going to be bugs. But if you're in that and you've played for 10 hours and you're disliking something, disliking the game, whether it's because of the bugs or whatever, if you played a game for 10 hours and don't like it, there's no reason to keep playing it.
Yeah.
So Anthem, I think the Metacritic is sitting around 6, between 6 and 7 from critics, and then users have review bombed the Metacritic and put a lot of zeros on it.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, because it's EA, because there are microtransactions, just cosmetics like Apex Legends, like Destiny, like Overwatch. It's all cosmetic.
Yep.
Because I don't know the reason. So I'm gonna get into my initial thoughts. The game looks awesome. It's a great looking game. The controls are intuitive. I was you watch the trailers and you watch some gameplay and you see them jump up and start to fly, and you're like, okay, well, how easy will that be? Well, it's you jump up, you click in on the left thumbstick, and you start to fly. It's really intuitive. I do have some issues when I'm flying in a narrow space where I'll crash into walls.
Okay.
But I don't think it hurts me. It just slows me down, and I imagine as I get as I play it more, I've played it maybe an hour and a half. I'll get more used to the controls, but they feel pretty intuitive. The combat is good. It's like Mass Effect Andromeda's combat. With a little bit more verticality because you can jump up into the air and float and shoot things. And the story so far, to me, feels very Destiny-ish. How Destiny had the Traveler, it came in and it's all powerful and it helps to maintain the world, while Anthem has the Anthem and it's a world creator and it helps to make things and maintain the world. And it's very mysterious, and the bad guys are trying to get control of it, and the good guys are trying to defend it so that the bad guys don't get control of it. I mean, it's more, there's more to it than that, but that's kind of the basic, at least at the beginning, the basic gist of things that I get.
Yeah.
So I've been through the tutorial level. Then you go to Fort Tarsus, which is like the tower, Destiny's tower. And then I've done the first mission. And then I just did this morning my first free play where you have to go out. Free play is like the patrols in Destiny, where you just go out into the open world. I had to find some materials so that I could start crafting stuff. And then while I was out in the open world, there were other people in the world. And there were community events that we'd get called to, and you go and you fight the enemies and those, kind of like Destiny. So I chose the Interceptor Javelin, it's one of the smallest, might be the smallest javelin. It's really fast and really melee focused. So you zip into an enemy, hit it a bunch of times with your melee, and then zip out to recover your shields, and then kind of do that back and forth. And you also have a gun and everything too, but it's really good. It's really really fast to play. The combat looks awesome. It feels awesome. When I loaded into so how you get into missions, you're in Fort Tarsus, which you can go around and you talk to different people, and that's kind of where you get your color for the world and where you find out more about the world and where you get your mission objectives, things like that. And then you go to where your Javelin, where your Iron Man suit is, and you can they call it the Forge, which is your loadout screen, and then you hop into your Javelin and then pick from a menu whether you want to go, what mission you want to do, or whether you want to do free play or whatever. So hopped in my Javelin, chose the mission, which is to go find this guy, and in the mission, you can either have your game set to public or private, and then you could load in friends to your party or whatever. So I kept mine on public, and I loaded in with 3 other people, and we went on and did the mission, and it was good. Playing with random people, it was, we helped each other out, we revived each other when we needed it. The mission structure feels kind of like Destiny. That's the closest thing. I mean, the gameplay isn't really like Destiny. It's, more like Mass Effect, but
Yeah. How does the shooting feel to you? I guess
it feels good.
it's fine.
Yeah, it's not as twitchy as, a first person shooter, but it have you played? I
didn't play Mass Effect 3. I didn't play Mass Effect Andromeda.
Okay.
And I had heard that was maybe the closest thing that this felt to as far as the shooting.
Yeah.
But with all the abilities and you're in these huge mech suits, it doesn't need to be super precise and twitchy.
Right.
It's more of a, I don't even know how to describe it, but
it's easy enough to aim and shoot. And the one thing that I don't know right now, I just unlocked my second weapon slot, and I don't know how to switch my guns. Because like in Apex, you switch your guns by pressing triangle. In this, when you press triangle, that's your melee. So I don't know how to switch guns yet, which is, that I'll figure that out. So far my experience is positive, but the loading times are pretty rough.
Okay, even on you have a Pro, right?
Yeah, I have a PS4 Pro. So when I wanted to go, so I did my mission, and then we ended the mission. And at the end of the mission, you go to a screen that shows you, what you collected, how you leveled up, kind of stat changes from the mission, and then you load into Fort Tarsus, and then you run around and talk to a couple of people, and then I found out that I needed to go back into free play to search for Ember, a certain element that you can find in the free play world. So before I went into free play, I load into the Forge. That was a good 30-second loading screen. I messed around in there, added my new guns, whatever. Loaded out of the Forge, which was another 15-20 seconds. Jumped into my Javelin, and then clicked on free play. And that, I don't know how long the load is, but it feels like a while. So there's just, between everything you do, there's a loading screen, which isn't any, that's not any different than what
Destiny has the same thing. You have to load into the tower, and you have to load into that. Watch your but it seemed relatively fast. Sounds like this might just be a little bit slower, which does suck.
It seems slower. Also, like in Destiny, when when the loading screen is there, it's your ship flying.
Yeah.
Where this, it's a static screen, and so maybe that, and you're just watching a bar fill up.
Yeah, those are always, if there's something to read or look at, it just makes it a little bit more interesting. Some background music, something. But.
Yeah. So anyway, so it feels like a long load at this point. Some of when I was playing last night, the mission with the 3 other people, seemed a little bit unstable. Like the animations sometimes would be a little bit jittery. Now I don't know. We had high winds last night, and we're having internet troubles. That could be on my end. That could be because of that, or it could be from the game. I don't know. But so far, also the other thing, I find it kind of hard to figure out where I'm supposed to go, where the next objective is.
Okay.
It would tell me, okay, you need to go over here, and then I spin around a couple times trying to figure out the objective marker is kind of small. So I don't know. That's just quality of life, kind of thing.
Yeah. Small gripe. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know. So a couple small things, but the core, when you're in there playing the game and shooting things and flying around, it feels good. And you definitely don't. I think that it's something that you kind of like Apex Legends, might be better with friends, but not needed. At least at this point in the beginning of the core game. Now, when you get to the end game and you're running some of the higher level things, you might want to be playing with people and being able to talk with them and things like that. But
yeah, that's good to know for sure.
The other difference between this and Destiny, so I chose the Interceptor, which is this quick kind of melee focused javelin. The other javelins, there's a tank javelin, and I don't remember what all the names are, but there's a tank. There's a ranger, which is like the all around soldier kind of javelin, and then there's one called the Storm, and that's like your mage. You're at a distance and you have some powers,
elemental powers.
Yeah. So those are the 4 classes, and so I chose the Interceptor. So at when my character reaches level 8, I'll be able to choose another javelin, and then so throughout the game, you unlock all 4 classes, and then you can swap in and out between whichever one you want.
Which I think that's very cool. Yeah.
Destiny, you've got to start whole new characters over.
Yeah.
In most, Diablo, you are one class of character for each playthrough.
Yeah.
So I think that will really make the end game a lot more seamless and interesting, where you can play with different people and you can mess around with different classes without having to build up 4 different characters.
Yeah.
So that'll be nice. So I am looking forward to playing with it. It's a game that I've actually been kind of down on leading up to release, just because it's had so much
bad press, really. A lot of bad news, and the way EA is rolling it out. And I think you're not the only one, but I go on our Discord channel, and it seems like most people have the same reaction you do. Like, yep, I'm having fun. So, at the end of the day, that's all we really care about. So,
no, again, I'm an hour and a half in. I can reach, I think, around the 10th hour or the 10th level or something like that. There's something that happens where progression slows way down.
Yeah.
Like they talked about a checklist of things you need to do. And so I think, I don't know, we'll see. I will report back next week. I do think it's a little bit unfortunate that Apex Legends and Anthem release so close together. I mean, they're very different games. They, at a base level, they would appeal to different kinds of gamers, but they're also huge time investment games that both at least start solidly. So I don't know. So looking forward to staying up with both of them. Moving on from what we've been playing, cover this week's new releases, or the biggest releases this week, although I'm not looking to buy anything new anytime soon between Apex and Anthem. One of the big games, and I've never played one of these, but Dead or Alive 6, the fighting game,
it's been around for a long time.
Around for a long time, fighting game.
It's from Team Ninja. It's always controversial.
Yeah, there's it seems like a lot of scantily clad ladies are involved.
And I think Dead or Alive is a series that even has had several beach versions or something like that.
It's like volleyball. They have volleyball. Yeah.
And then it's like women only. So it's a little bit. I'm not gonna judge too hard on it.
But I think it's supposed to be the fighting mechanics are supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah, I was watching Giant Bomb play it, and I was like, this looks like looks like Tekken a lot.
Okay.
I always like Tekken, so but yeah.
Other big game for me coming out this week is Dirt Rally 2.0. I can definitely see myself at some point this year jumping into it. This is obviously it's the second Dirt Rally game, and the Rally series. So they have Dirt 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then they have Dirt Rally 1 and 2. And the regular Dirt series is slightly more forgiving and more arcadey, I guess.
Yeah.
Although it's still pretty tough. And Dirt Rally is supposed to be a lot more sim.
Okay.
And I have the first Dirt Rally game, and it is tough. But the new game looks really good.
It's getting really good reviews. Actually, it's one of the higher reviewed rally games I've ever seen. So
it's good. It looks pretty solid. And if you like rally games, I mean there are a couple other. There might be another rally game coming out later this year, but there aren't a lot of. I mean, rally's not a huge thing, at least here in the States. So you're kind of limited on which rally games. There is an official. The WRC Rally series will be coming out later this year from might be Kyloton. but that series is typically lower rated than the Dirt series. So,
Gotcha. Okay.
Lego Movie 2 video game is coming out,
Mm-hmm.
which it's hard for me to get excited about Lego games anymore. They feel
Yeah.
like
Very samey. All of them feel. Yeah.
and then Toejam and Earl, Back in the Groove,
Yeah.
coming to all consoles.
Did you play the original Toejam and Earl?
I think I did back on Genesis days, but it's been a long time. I couldn't even.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I don't
what
remember
game
either.
it is or anything.
Yeah.
So
And Trials Rising is also
yes,
fun. I know a lot of people like Trials games. But
yeah, they've never, for whatever reason, have never clicked with me. I don't the stunt bike and trying to get a high score by doing tricks and things. It just I haven't been good at them, so they've never clicked with me.
Yeah. I've never liked them enough to purchase them.
Yeah.
But I think Trials Fusion maybe it was a PS Plus game
Yeah,
at one point.
they have been on Plus.
And I played that a fair amount, but that's because it was free.
Yeah. There was they had a beta that they released on, because this game's coming to all 3 consoles. And you should look up the screens, the differences between the PS4 and Xbox versions compared to the Switch version.
Yeah.
Where the Switch version, it looks like there's a fog over everything, and
It looks awful.
It looked pretty bad. So
The only
I
thing
had
that looks-
actually
the only thing that looks high res is the actual vehicle. Everything else around it looks really bad.
I had actually downloaded the beta on the Switch. I was going to give it a try, but my Switch's Wi-Fi doesn't work very well, and you had to be connected to play it.
Gotcha.
Wi-Fi in handheld doesn't work well. When I'm docked, it works well enough, but I really don't play my Switch on the TV, because if I have my own personal gaming time on the TV, I'm going to play PlayStation.
Yep.
So moving on from there, we had just a few news stories from the past week. Of course, today being Wednesday when this actually releases, we should hear about the PlayStation Plus games. If you haven't seen that, follow us on Twitter. I'm sure that I'll be retweeting it or whatever, but we don't know that at the time of recording. So here are a few news items that jumped out to us from the past week. Number 1, Dreams Creator Early Access launches this spring. So what was this sooner than you expected? Were you what were you expecting on the release time frame of Dreams after playing the beta, a couple months ago? Last month, I guess.
Yeah, less than a month ago. I'm not shocked at all. I kind of expected it to come out this year for sure. I did not expect it to be this kind of early access rollout instead.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think they made a really smart decision the more I think about it. So what they're doing is they're launching the game to early access they're calling it for creators, but really it's for anyone who wants to create or play creations. Yeah. But it's much like the beta where I think they realize that if you buy this game full price on day 1, you're going to play through whatever campaign they have, and then you're going to go to the store or see all the different other creations, and they're going to be a bunch of half-baked ideas. Mm-hmm. Well, this way they charge you less, they don't include a campaign, and now people can just create whatever they want and create all these different games. They can continue on the creations they made during the beta, which is very cool. I'm glad they figured that out.
Yeah.
Because that would really suck for a lot of those people, because you can tell people already put a ton of time into those creations. So, but the way I see this rolling out is it sits in early access. A bunch of creators start working on games, and maybe about 6 months or 12 months after that, you release the full game for maybe I imagine $60. But with $60, you get a campaign that's a little bit more fleshed out, created by Media Molecule, and you also have a lot of well thought out games at that point. I mean, the beta lasted what, a month, 1 month?
Yeah, about a month, a little more than a month. Well, because they had the closed beta and then the
open beta lasted.
Beta, so
at least, yeah. But let's say a little over a month, and there was a lot of half baked stuff that was like, this isn't really going anywhere. But there were some games in there that was like, this is really good, and so I figure, you give someone that created that another 6 months or longer, and it's actually going to feel like a good game.
Yeah.
So then you just buy Dreams, and you have access to all of these interesting indie games, basically.
Yeah. So I think it's really, it was a little bit sooner. They had, when the beta ended, they had announced that they would have a big announcement on February 20th, which this was it. So people were kind of looking forward to that. Now, technically, spring could be any time from March 21st through June 21st. So
yeah, I was they just went with spring.
Yeah, it could still be a while, but hopefully it'll be sooner than we think. Maybe they even launch it here. They probably wouldn't, even though I don't think there's much crossover between people who are going to be creating Dreams and people who are interested in Days Gone. But maybe they don't want to do this right around that the Days Gone release in April. But it's really cool. One thing they did mention in the blog post, there's a link for you to sign up to get an email or a notification once the early access is coming out. It mentions that the creator access for Dream starts this year and slots are limited. Register below for early access updates. So when it first said a limited release, I kind of took that as, this isn't the full game. This is just a limited portion of it. But sounds like there really might be, they might keep it limited to, I don't know how many. It doesn't say. Or maybe they're just saying that so that everyone who gets in feels special.
And maybe they're just trying to filter out a lot of people who they just see, Dreams is out, it's $30, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
And it's not really what they expect. I think they're trying to filter that out because the idea is that there will be lots of cool games to play, with a full release once creators have enough time. But it'll be like the beta where people are like, okay, whatever, this isn't, if you're not a creator, there's not much for you. So they don't want a bunch of like bad press for that or something like that. So
yeah, I also think this is the first time that I can think of that Sony has experimented with early access.
Yep. That was
on Xbox they've done some early, I forget what they call it, but they've done early access things like with PUBG.
And I think Xbox has a whole basically part of the store that's dedicated to that, much like Steam, and PlayStation's just not set up for that. It hasn't been. I do think that no one really talked about that. Like they keep calling this early access, but there's not an early access tab in the PlayStation Store as far as I know.
Yeah.
But maybe there will be now. I don't know.
This could be a toe into that direction.
Yeah. Are you? What do you think? Do you think you'll jump in at $30 and play around, or
I think it
wants to wait?
It really depends on when it releases. Again, I'm not expecting to create much, so I really might be tempted to just wait, even see if I can jump in, a month or two after this early access starts. If that's even, at this point, it sounds like that might not be available. So I don't know. It depends on when it actually drops. If I'm growing tired of Anthem and Apex Legends at that point, I don't know. I haven't decided. We'll see. If it came out next week, then I would not. But if it comes out in 2 months and I'm not doing something else, then maybe. All right. The one of the other things that came up in the past week, the Vita. You've been playing your Vita recently. Well, yes. Vita production is winding down. It's officially done. They're making no more Vitas.
Yep. The remaining two models, which was both the black and aqua blue, which I think is actually the newer version of the Vita, which I don't have both been labeled as ending soon on Sony's website. Honestly, I was shocked that they were still making Vitas, because I don't know anyone who's buying a brand new Vita.
Well, I think they're still popular in Japan.
That could very well be, and I think that makes sense because the aqua blue version isn't even available in the US.
Okay.
I still have the original Vita, the one with the OLED screen.
Mm-hmm.
I know I think it's a little bit chunkier than the newer version, but I like it. So, and the screen looks absolutely gorgeous. So
yeah, it's a little bit sad, but
I'm more sad that I'm pretty certain that they're never gonna try another handheld.
Yeah.
And the Vita was good. I wish they would have just not. If they would have just made they didn't know the Switch was coming out. But if they would have just added 4 shoulder buttons and not tried to do the whole back touch screen,
yeah,
I think it could have been much different. Because then it would be fully compatible with most games. Whereas right now, it's hard to play older. It's hard to just play any game on it because it doesn't have the main control scheme that every other console has.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I wish if I kind of wish they would give it another shot and do a Vita 2 or whatever they want to call it, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, we'll see. Things can, this next console life cycle, they could be, things could be completely different, and then they could decide, well, hey, we need to get back into that mobile market. So,
Yeah.
I think I've been have been thinking about the console life cycle, and the idea that here in the next year or two we'll have new PlayStation and new Xbox, and typically from one generation to the next, whoever's leading, quote unquote leading in one generation, the next generation they don't lead. You had all the way back from the NES to the SNES, which, I mean, in retrospect, Super Nintendo, obviously, even as a Genesis kid, Super Nintendo was better than Genesis, long term. But but to start with, Genesis kind of came out punching, came out swinging. Then you have your PlayStation 1, really PlayStation 1, kind of beat out the N64. Then you had your PS2, better than Xbox. That switched to the 360, the next generation, which is now switched to the PS4. And of course, you had the Wii in there, which was crazy successful. And then next generation, it seems like for whatever reason, whatever company is ahead, or sells the most or has the mind share from one generation, the next generation it switches. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And how, even, this idea, so the idea that Sony would go back to a handheld seems like they aren't interested in that right now, but maybe in 5 years, that'll happen again.
It is, I think we've talked before about how sometimes it feels like they are the leader and they're acting the way they did at the end of the PS2.
Yep.
But I just pulled up this article because I remember hearing about this, that during DICE, someone did an interview with Sean Layden, and he talked about basically how they're still planning on doubling down on games. Like that's still their main focus. Like almost like he even brought up PS3 specifically. Said while PlayStation 3 and our fight to stay relevant has been well covered, what wasn't as well covered was the call we made at the time to transform our company into what we are today. We doubled our efforts to develop incredible games and strengthen our partnerships for the next generation. Which to me just kind of read as like, don't worry, we're not going to make the same mistakes we did with the PS3.
Right.
So, which I think most people are, that's like you said, that's history has taught us that's what happens with a leader of the current console generation. But I think we might get, I'm hoping that they kind of shock us a little bit. And maybe that's why they're being a little bit quiet this year with not going to E3.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully we have a lot to look forward to. And I think with that, I think we're good for the week. It's been a good show.
Yeah.
Like I said, when we were talking about what we've been playing, I have a feeling like in future weeks it'll be Apex Legends, Anthem, and Call of Duty for a little while here. Which is okay.
Yeah, I'll find some weird Vita game to play or something.
Yeah, okay.
So have fun.
Well, and we'll see what's on PlayStation Plus. Although honestly, I haven't. I did try the snowboarding game from last month.
Yeah,
Steep for 30 minutes.
Yeah, me too. It wasn't good. So.
And then I played Onrush for a few days. I really liked it the first few times I played it, and then it was the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
So we'll see. So honestly, I haven't really been.
This will be the first PS Plus exclusively to PS4.
Yes. Yeah. So that'll be interesting too. The PlayStation 3 and Vita drop off PlayStation Plus here in March. So it'll be interesting to see if they just have 2 PS4 games, if they have 4, if they add VR to it. It'll be interesting times.
Yeah.
So we'll see, and we will be right here next week to cover that. You can find us as always on Twitter at PSXP Podcast. You can also find us on the Discord where we hang out throughout the week. You have anything else to add for the good of the order?
No. Actually, no. Actually, if you have HBO, go watch Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Okay.
About Mr. Rogers. It'll make you cry, but in a good way, because he was basically the perfect human being. So
okay, that makes so watch that. I did, before I fully sign off here, want to thank all of our Patreon contributors. You are a valuable part of the PSVG community, and we thank you for all of your support, including these producers: Coach Hulk, Edwin Callow, Devin Tyus, Kevin Austin, Chris M., Kyle Hyman, Bonesaw, Josh Borboni, Barry Cathcart, and Paul Calicote. Thank each and every one of you for supporting the entire PSVG network and for interacting with us on our Discord and social media and so forth. So with that, have a great week. Never stop gaming. And that's it.
And though we may pledge fanboy allegiances to different flags, deep down inside we all serve one master, one king. And his name is gaming. Forever may he reign!
This has been a production of the Play Some Video Games Podcast Network.